Zadandani, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about My Hero Academia Chapter 306. Now, let me make this clear. This is a big chapter. Really big. So, if you don't want spoilers for anything, especially even going forward for a little bit, this is really one that you should not watch. I've been saying it before, but if you haven't read the chapters, don't watch these videos because these reviews of sorts are not actually reviews. They are theory videos where I talk about what is going to happen in the future. Basically, it's a quick recap telling you guys what I think about it. Yes, there is some review aspect, but these are theory videos, okay? So, seriously, be aware of that. And also, if you follow any of the major My Hero Academia Twitter accounts, like for people who do content on this stuff, you probably should have blocked them this week. Sorry. But basically, for those of you who aren't fully aware, last week there was a whole bunch of chaos that happened. Or this past week, there was a whole bunch of chaos because the chapter got leaked, and a whole bunch of people started doing just tons and tons of spoilers, and they didn't fucking. Sorry, I'm a bit pissed off about that because I saw a lot of spoilers, and I'm really pissed off about it. But, okay. Whew. Here we go. Chapter 306. This is a big one, like I said. So, we're no longer in Deku's mind like we were in the past two chapters. Instead, we are back in the real world, where All Might has to explain to both Hawks and Genist what exactly has been happening, and what exactly is One for All. And it's insane. It's actually really hard to just talk about, because yeah, that happened. I kind of have. I plan to actually reread this chapter a few hundred times because holy crap, it was insane, to just say the least. The fact is that this chapter has so much with it and goes through so much content that's actually impossible to keep complete track of it. We get some stuff about the press conference of Endeavor, Best Jeanist, and Hawks, and that was insane. We get to see how how society has basically fallen apart. We get to see that UA and other schools are starting to function as basically shelters, starting off by getting the families of the main kids into the shelters, but also starting to get other characters as well. Just random civilians. We'll probably be seeing some of them, or we would have. We'll get into that in a bit, but basically all of them are moving in. We get to see. Thank goodness Inko is still alive. But it does bring up a few questions of, will we be seeing Deku's father soon? I honestly think that at some point we do need to see Deku's father. But at the same time, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I think that there is something else that needs to be said, though. I don't think that this is the end. At all. The thing is that, could Deku save Shigaraki? Yes, I absolutely think that by the end of this next arc, Deku will be able to save Shigaraki. But it brings up a few other questions into my mind about what exactly is going to happen here. This chapter is called The Final Act Begins, as at the very end, we see Deku standing over the city, seeing a villain running by, as he's in his new outfit. a destroyed version of his outfit that has Gran Torino's scarf, his backpack. He doesn't seem to have his gloves anymore, but he does have something around his arms to help them. Not exactly certain what that is, needless to say. But he's just standing over the city, watching it, knowing that soon he's going to have to fight, and he sees a big villain off in the distance attacking. This aspect scares me a bit. Deku feels like he needs to be the one who's up there in front, up on the front lines to fight against these villains, to make sure that they can't continue. I honestly don't believe that Deku is 100% ready to actually use his quirk. He's used it, sure, in the past and done a lot of good things, but the fact is that he's not ready. He, even if all of the quirks are now unlocked and he can finally unleash all hell on these guys, it's not going to be an easy situation, to say the least. I've mentioned before that I think that the second user has something to do with restoration and using, and basically unlocking Deku's hidden quirk. And then there's also the fact that there's more than likely something also in there that's a healing quirk that's possibly connected to the water quirk. I don't know. There's a lot to it, and I don't really know for a fact really anything about these quirks, which, needless to say, that is a bit worrying. But there's a lot to this, and honestly, I was kind of hoping that we would have a bit more time. Time for Deku to prepare, to get ready for this bout. But honestly, it feels like things are going a little too fast. Honestly, here's the thing. I know that Horikoshi has been kind of thinking that it might be time to get this story to its conclusion, but I don't think it's ready for it. I don't think Deku is ready to take on that responsibility. The truth is that he hasn't really grown as much of a character as he probably should have beforehand. And needless to say, that does worry me a bit. He still has so much left to learn, and him becoming a pro hero right off the bat, he's not even done. He's only got his provisional license. And needless to say, it worries me that Deku is taking these steps. The thing is that Deku has left a note for everyone, explaining everything and telling them that he's got to do something. He has to stand up and help them. He has to save the day. And that worries me. Do I think that Deku is going to have that final bout? That battle where he stands up against them? Yes, but I don't think it's now. Let me explain. I think that right now, Deku needs something to actually know that he has someone standing up for him behind his back. Someone who's ready to help him when times are tough. And I think that that person isn't just Uraraka. The thing is that we've seen, as you guys can probably see by my background, there's this picture that Horikoshi drew of Uraraka and Deku falling through a city. And I think that this is actually what's going to happen before the end of this arc. Uraraka is going to be there. She's going to be going out every now and again, trying to find Deku. Maybe she'll see like a few other characters also looking and be yelled at, "Why are you out here on the street? You need to be at your safety location." Like, pro heroes are doing that. But she's unable to. She has to find him. She has to find Deku. And I think she's gonna happen to see the battle raging between Deku and some other villain. Could it be against Shigaraki? Possibly. But I don't know. Eventually, he's going to get high up into the sky to fight this villain, and he starts to faint. And Uraraka jumps into action in this moment, flying up there, catching him with her zero gravity ability to slow his descent. He wakes up, and the two of them, and she starts crying. Deku, why did you do this? You have us as your backup. You should have known that we would be here for you. You should have known that we were willing to fight alongside you, no matter what the situation is. I honestly, here's the thing. I do not want a final battle of Deku versus Shigaraki, or Deku versus the League of Villains all by himself. I don't want that. What I want is for a final bout. A bout of all heroes. Every single hero fighting several different battles. Endeavor and his family, including Todoroki, fighting, and even those that don't have hero licenses, them fighting against Dabi to basically say, we're sorry, please come home, we don't want this, we want you back, we never wanted to hurt you, all of these things. I think that that's going to be an important part, but I also see in the future battles between other characters. We get to see all of the characters fighting other League of Villain members. Maybe a final battle between Rappa and Red Riot. I actually wouldn't be surprised if we got to see that briefly. Where Red Riot defeats him, but also wins him back. I actually would love to see something where the Vigilantes show up and decide to help out for this final battle. The thing is, there are so many new members of the League of Villains, and that is terrifying. I honestly don't know who would be able to go up against Gigantomachia. I believe he's still in containment. I don't know for a fact, but the fact is that there could very likely be a case where where people are gonna have to face off against him again. I want there to be a battle of just all these different characters, and I want there to be a moment, actually. A moment where Toga is fighting against some other group of heroes. Maybe she's been put down or something, and she looks up and sees the final battle between Deku and Uraraka versus Shigaraki and All for One. There could be others that are in that bout, but I think that those four are going to be in that final bout. More than likely, we will also get to see Bakugo join in on that fight, but I don't know for a fact exactly what's going to be happening. I think that if they are going to be doing that, I think that there's got to be a lot of interesting situations. But I think that Toga is going to look up at that fight and see as it concludes, as she is lying down on the ground, being tied up, ready to be processed, and she sees Deku falling and Uraraka saving him as she's crying, and she realizes that's what true love is. Not what she's been going after. And I think that that is going to be an interesting moment to just see that Toga understands at long last what exactly true love is. It's kind of been an arc of her that she thinks that she knows what love is, but she doesn't. I think that by seeing Uraraka and Deku falling together, she's going to understand finally what that relationship is. I don't know. There's lots to it, but I think that there's a lot that needs to be said. And I really, needless to say, I'm really excited to see how this final bout plays out for going forward for all of My Hero Academia. This isn't the end. I want that to be clear. This final act is not the end of My Hero. I honestly can't believe that. The fact is that so many of these characters have so much more growing to do, and I honestly want there to be a few moments where we actually get to see how these characters have grown and how they've become better. In truth, Todoroki's not done growing, and the same goes for almost everyone else. So many of these characters have had these moments, and I feel like there needs to be more in-depth information there. I also feel like there needs to be a few more bits of growth for Deku, to see him actually grow as a person and realize that he doesn't have to do this stuff by himself. Yes, he has become the number one hero or the strongest hero or whatever, and he could take care of a lot of things on his own, but he also needs to realize that he has those who are at his back, ready to fight and to join in on the fight. And as for the end of this arc, I think that there will be one more press conference. A conference after Shigaraki and all of the villains have been dealt with. They're off to their new prisons, ready to be processed, or they're dead, or whatever. And some are on the way to recovery. Maybe Stain has understood the problem with his ways and is now ready to actually fix his own self, and maybe he'll even become a hero himself at some point. I actually think that that would be one of the best arcs for Stain. We see from the very beginning how he started going down the route of killing heroes in Vigilantes, and we also get to see him starting that change to switch from being just someone who wants to take down heroes who are not true heroes to being a little bit more understanding. And I think that he's going to be at least somewhat involved in this whole situation. I don't know. I don't want to get too in-depth with that right now, but yeah. But as for the last conference, the last little bit, I think that at that moment, Deku is going to reveal the true nature of his quirk. That he has a quirk that allows him to pass his quirk on to others. But as he does so, it takes his quirk, and while it does pass it on to others, there's a bit of a kickback. And that he might have to be the last one to wield the quirk, as one, he has to choose his person. They can't just take his blood or whatever and start, and then automatically they get his quirk. No, he has to actually say, I want this person to take on the quirk. The fact is that I don't think that Deku is completely ready to say goodbye, and there's a lot to it. But when he says that, he's going to explain that the only person who could ever take his quirk from now on is someone who has no quirk to begin with. And the fact is that now everyone has a quirk. There will not be anyone born from this moment on who doesn't have a quirk. At this point, they now will know that even he was not meant to be born without a quirk. The probability of someone being born without a quirk nowadays is so low that it might actually be less than 1%. And he can't necessarily decide, okay, I'm going to give that one person in the entire world my quirk. Because if they happen to be an evil person, then suddenly we're back at square one, and no one's going to be able to stop them until they decide to pass on the quirk. And at that point, it's just going to be a vicious cycle. The fact is that Deku has to be the last person to use his quirk. And while it is possible that there could definitely be someone who could take on the quirk after him, In fact, I actually have a few ideas of who might be able to. But the fact is that currently there's no one. There's no one that would be able to take on the quirk and continue to pass it on, except for maybe a few specific people. But the fact remains that this is the end for My Hero Academia. These characters have gone through so much, and it would be interesting to see this be the ending. But it's only the ending for Deku as the number one hero. He still could continue to go on his life being a hero all over the place, but the final battle, the reason that he exists, is over. So now he's going to have to go into a new situation. And while I would like to see Deku and his classmates go through the rest of their years, having Shinso join their class, having basically everyone continue to fight and become better heroes, the fact is that at this point, no one's going to be able to beat Deku. There's probably going to be some sparring match, and Deku's just holding back his quirk to, like, at one point he's going to have to go up against pretty much everyone in the class just to show them, yeah, with this quirk I've basically become unstoppable. And it's insane. But I think that there are some aspects that we do need to talk about eventually, and we will get onto those eventually. But this is a different story now. This may be the final act of this arc. The arc of All for One. But this isn't the end for Deku, as he still has much more growing to do. And there's so much more that could be done with this series. A new villain could arise. The fact is that all of these villains are now out. And even if one big villain is taken down, there's still a ton more. And that, needless to say, that is going to take time to get back into the swing of things, to have everyone back to their happy ways. The fact is that Deku's not yet an All Might. He's not someone who can just fly in, beat a villain, and send them back. He's not even a pro hero yet. He's only got his provisional license. So, yeah, there's a lot to it, and honestly, I want to see how this story ends. And also, I want there to be some moments of characters' redemptions. Stain, Gentle, Labrava, and obviously the characters from Vigilantes. I want all of them to be on Deku's side for this final battle against Shigaraki. I absolutely think that by the end of this battle, Stain will be giving Deku his knives. Just saying. There is some reason for that, but I'm not going to get into all of that right now. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, this video has gone on for long enough. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. And if you do, even if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and ring that. Even if you're not new, but you haven't subscribed yet, sorry. Yeah. Please subscribe and ring that notification bell. It really does help us out a lot more than you may think. And of course, if you have any thoughts or theories, please leave them down in the comments below. We are going to be going more in depth with My Hero before too long, but next is Chaos Week. So Chaos Week is beginning. So yeah, don't count on it. Miraculous starts up in a few days. I guess that's tomorrow, actually. I think. Yeah, the video for tomorrow is not going to be Miraculous, but yeah. Anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, like I said, leave a like. Thoughts, theories, all that jazz. Of course, if you do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description, check out all of our links down there, including our other channels, the social medias, and the ways that you can support us financially, including our Patreon. Big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny, and of course the merch store, and the book, and all that jazz. But anyways, guys, I have been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!